Too much hot ladies one after another. Sexiness will make you sizzle. Hello, it's Takashi here. This time, we will be introducing a light novel that will be released in early October. We will introduce the latest trends in light novels, as well as those who don't usually read light novels, so that they will be interested. So please watch this video to find works that interest you. Also, if you found this video helpful, please click the subscribe button so that other people will be more likely to recommend the video. Please give it a try. It will be an opportunity for many people to get to know about the light novel. I would be happy if you could support me. Let's get on with it. First of all, it will be released on September 29th. This is from the Kadokawa Sneaker Bunko. Although it is said to be a new issue in October, it will be released in September due to the day of the week. Let me introduce it first. This is Inkya Dada or no Seishin Revenge, Tenshi Sujuru Ano Ko to Ayumuri Life Volume 5. As the title says, Youth Revenge. This is a story that starts with a time leap and starts over again in the spring. Well, the number of revenge-related works has increased considerably in the past year or so, but this series seems to be steadily increasing in popularity. The story has a very traditional and youthful feel. The story is that the main character, who was a working adult who was unskilled in her time, one day time leaped back to her high school days. There is also a heroine she admires who becomes unhappy in the future, and she is unable to move towards that future. If you can make a leap, working for a black company is not an option. I don't like it after all. The two of them are getting closer, but in the latest book, they have a part-time job at a cafe, and the story of their youth is too bright. It seems like things will continue to develop. Working part-time at a cafe is something I once dreamed of as a student. It's usually full of positive characters. Also, the relay illustrations by Tantan-sensei, who is in charge of the illustrations, are also nice. Although Tantan-sensei hasn't had an anime decision yet, but I feel like it's going to make a big splash announcement in the near future. He's been in charge of illustrations for multiple levels, and at that point, he's really amazing. However, both the scenario and illustrations are finished as a stable youth story, so be sure to check out this series. Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World Short Stories 3. The latest edition of Konosuba's short story collection is here. This time Sneaker Bunko has an extremely hot lineup, coinciding with the anniversary event. As for Konosuba, the main story has already been completed, but since it's the 10th anniversary of the series, we're releasing the entire series this time. A newly written and extravagant collection of short stories has been released. I'm sure fans of the series are really excited about this. In this collection of short stories, the devil grows horns and is about to be subdued by Yuyu. This includes Kazuma's diary of hardships that describes his daily life being swayed by Megumi, Darkness who becomes a villainess, and Hain Aqua. It looks like there will be plenty of wonderful slapstick developments. As for Darkness, do you feel like she's more of a villain's daughter or a pervert's daughter? In addition, at the end, there will be a large volume episode where Kazuma tries to redo his past and aim for his ideal life in another world. I'm feeling quite excited about this. The third season of the TV anime is set to air in 2024, so it looks like it's going to get even more exciting. As Kadokawa Sneaker Bunko's signature work, it's going to be a big hit on the label. I want this smartphone. Be sure to read this collection of short stories. This is an introduction to the series. This month's new work from Sneaker Bunko is also really good. First of all, this is Who Killed the Hero? The atmosphere on the cover is really nice. The illustrations are cut out from a single scene, which is rare in light novels, and I'm personally really drawn to it. Well, as far as the story goes, it seems that the story begins with the launch of a project to convert the deeds of the deceased hero into literature in a kingdom that has been peaceful for 4 years since the Demon King was defeated by the hero's sacrifice. It seems a bit nostalgic. It's a good start, but the 3 party members who were once friends seem to be confused about the truth behind the hero's death, and the mystery of why the hero died is depicted in the story. Is it okay to kill the hero or a friend? This work seems to be a group drama style, and it seems to be a fantasy mystery that approaches the truth of the hero's death from various perspectives. Isn't this really interesting? I have decided that I will definitely read it. By the way, this is the debut work of the author, Mr. Uchiki, but surprisingly, it seems that 5 of the works that he posted on the novel submission site, Encode Sayasadu, have already been decided to be published as books. That's amazing. It seems like he's a very popular author in the "let's become a novelist" community, so we can expect a lot from him. It's a new series that deserves attention, so if you're interested, be sure to check it out. The next one is Magical Explorer. It seems I have become a friend of the protagonist in an Ouji world, but because magic is fun I have abandoned the role and trained myself. Volume 9. This is also a very popular series, and the 10th volume of the function is coming to a close. Speaking of the erotic game world, it's quite colorful. You might feel that way, but the content itself is definitely about classic battles. It's set in a modern world with fantasy elements like dungeons, but that's not it. The development of the main character, who has become an unfortunate friend character in the world, aims to become the strongest to surpass Namir's strong characters, is really hot. Also, since it is an erotic game world, there are naturally many heroines. Therefore, the development of the romantic comedy of the heroines is not well depicted. There are elements of lucky lewdness, so I hope it will meet your expectations properly. I guess the good thing about this work is that everyone likes that kind of thing. The anime version of this work was finally announced at the Sneaker Bunko 35th anniversary event that was held just the other day. It's finally here. I was wondering how it would turn into an anime because the Ouji title in the title was a problem, but I'm glad it turned out okay. However, this official image is a subtitle of a manned character from an Ouji. The part of "I got reincarnated" has disappeared. I don't care what the title will be when it is actually made into an anime. I think it will stay the same, though. As she progresses through her school's dungeons, the heroine worries about the difference in her ability with the main character and falls into darkness. The story is a bit serious, as there seems to be a conflict between humans and demons. Yes, well, there's something about a dark heroine that's so appealing, and I personally like her a lot. Looking at the illustrations, it looks like the main character will do a lot of work, so I'm looking forward to that as well. It's also been decided that she'll be made into an anime, so she's riding on seaweed. Since it is a series, let's predicting its sales performance when it releases. This is the 12th volume of The Strongest Dull Prince's Secret Battle for the Throne. This is an in-house and external battle fantasy work. It is a popular work that has finally sold over 1 million copies in total. Personally, I think 1 million copies is not enough at all, so I don't think this is a work that should sell much more. For all the fans of the series, I don't think it's enough. In order to survive the bloody pay dispute, the main character, Arnold, and his talented younger brother Leonard, who are ridiculed and called a businessman, have to win. This is an extremely exciting series where the bonds of brothers overcome the problems that occur both inside and outside of their country. Furthermore, the main character, Arnold, is ridiculed by those around him. Even though he acts like he's being treated as a king, he's actually one of the strongest adventurers in the empire, and he's working behind the scenes to protect his country and make his younger brother king, which is really cool. It's exciting to read about a protagonist who is behind the scenes. Usually he's a random character, but when he has to make a decision, he makes a decision. If you like cool protagonists, I think you'll get hooked on this series. It was recently announced that this work will be made into an anime. Personally, I feel like it's finally here, so it's a long-awaited anime. There are a lot of cool scenes in the main character's behind-the-scenes developments as well as in the battles, so I think it's a work that looks great as an anime. The production company hasn't been announced yet, but I have high hopes for it. The latest volume seems to depict the final battle with the third prince, Gordon, who was a major obstacle in the battle for pay, so it looks like it's going to be a pretty large-scale battle. The illustrations also have really hot scenes like this. This is an important account in terms of the story and makes me excited. It looks like it will be, so fans of the series should look forward to the latest volume. And finally, the dark story of the strongest failed aristocrat's mastery of sword magic. This is a new series by Mr. Tanba, the author of The Strongest Merit Girl that I introduced earlier. As the title says, the strongest protagonist is also born. It looks like it's going to be a battle fantasy where people act behind the scenes. The main character is a lethargic boy from a noble family in the frontier, and he is called an inferior aristocrat who has failed at the academy. However, his true identity is that he was a checker and great sage who was praised as the guardian deity of two huge nations. Well, it seems like he was protecting not just one country, but two countries. It's quite outrageous to say that it's the strongest setting, and it doesn't even feel exhilarating anymore. I wonder why the main character ended up in such a position. I'm curious about this. The most powerful commercial business involves political elements, so there are quite a few restrictions, but the main story of this work is more like a school story, so the story has a more unrivaled feeling. That's right, if you are a fan of the Saikyo Degarashi Ouji series, please check out this work as well. Sneaker Bunko also has a pure love story with the delinquent Shimizu-san sitting next to me has dyed her hair black. Volume 2, I got fired from the hero party, so I went back to my hometown, but all the party members followed me. It will not be featured in this video. But, if you are interested, please check it out. Next, is the HJ Bunko lineup, which will also be released on September 29th. Firstly, this is Paring Knife and Bruised Apple Volume 1 by Wakazuki Sayama. This is a bizarre yet interesting love and slice of life story. This is a brand new work, after all. The story starts with small drinking club named Sekai. Mai Hamasaki appears before Asato Kirishima, who spends his days absent-mindedly. Mai Hamasaki appears before Asato Kirishima, who spends his days absent-mindedly. She has been involved in various troubles due to her being too popular, but she likes the free-spirited environment of the Sakyukai and decides to join. Asato takes care of Mai, who innocently enjoys drinking parties with her, and gradually deepens his relationship with her, who is on the same wavelength as her. However, two people with trauma in the past are unable to take the first step towards love. A very sad but yet somewhat tragic, based on the plot. Who knew a drinking that Yulet's relationship can't having to have love with one another? The atmosphere, by the way, is somewhat uplifting, which is really a little cheerful. When you were really sad and feeling down, a bar is the place to make that feeling goes away. If you like something a little emotional feeling, then this is one you need to have. This is 100 Things I Want to Do with a Young Lady in a Box as a Commoner Volume 2. This is a pure love romantic comedy that started this year. Personally, I liked the first volume. It was really good, so I'm glad that it was released a second time. This work is unusual in light novels because the main character is a middle school student, and it's not a social comedy between a rich lady and a commoner protagonist. In any case, it was really good to see him act so hard for the heroine who he fell in love with at first sight because he was a bundle of energy. The story was about studying hard for the entrance exam. In such a situation, the main character does what the heroine wants to do. I liked the heartwarming development of pure love that felt like it was coming true. What was good about this work was the heroine's family who stands in the way of the main characters. Well, it's precisely because of their love for their children that the parents act as a solid wall. That's the feeling of the story. It made me feel more satisfied that it's not flashy, but I thought it was an extremely interesting work. In the latest volume, the relationship between the two takes a step forward, and the story advances to a new stage. The stage will also change considerably, so no matter what, I'm looking forward to seeing what the story will be like. Well, if you're interested in a serious comedy about the status of a commoner and a young lady, be sure to check out this work. Next, this is the latest volume of Mad Daughter Nia Liston Volume 3, a splendid unrivaled record of a god-killing warrior who was reincarnated as a sickly young lady. It seems that the illustrator has changed from this time onwards. Well, the atmosphere is a little different, but the illustrations are also wonderful, so I'll just have to get used to this work. The story may be about a former hero who is a battle junkie who is reincarnated as a sickly girl and works hard to fight the founder. Also, this work is a video that aims to spread the world of Magic Vision, a tablet PC-like item, both domestically and internationally. It's pretty modern, like doing something like a distribution service. There are elements that come into play, like a young girl who gains popularity as a reporter for a video program, but behind the scenes, seeks to fight against strong men.it feels like there's quite a gap between her and her character. Anyway, it's interesting that the main character is extremely strong and can do whatever he wants, such as beating up the town mafia or being unrivaled in the arena behind the scenes, and what's more, the visuals are of a 6-year-old little girl. The balance with the blood splatter is amazing. Also, there is a comic version of this work, and the quality is unusually high, so I highly recommend it as well, probably among the recent comic versions. I think this is also top class. If you want a quick read, please check this out as well. Other notable featured works in HJ Bunko includes Inkya no Boku ni Batsu Game ni Kakuhaku Shitakita Hazu no Jiru Ga, Demitamo Boku ni Betahor Disu Volume 7, Mob Kara Hajimaru Tansaku Ayuten Volume 7 and Infinite Dendogram Volume 21. All these are highly recommended, so don't forget pre-order your favorite today. And last but not least, from Kodansha Rano Bunko, Level 1 Dai Domu Shirbari Puriai. This is a new work which to be released this October 2nd. The story depicts Yurin, gets the odd job of being an alchemist through a ritual at the age of 15, and is kicked out of his home. His life changes when he just so happens to elevates the job and entered a battle royale. It seems fantasy genres with battle royale are slowly growing, but not quite fast as it would be. The front cover was also quite beautifully drawn, with furry characters being added to the mix. This is also the second work from the artist Kanata, after just being debuted for HJ Bunko's Mad Girl Nia Listen series. Quite an amazing run from the teacher itself, isn't it? When you have swords but being an alchemist, then enlists party members for help, what can you afford to lose? If you're interested in this work, do check this out. Yes, this is the first new book introduction video in October, but the release timing was almost the end of September. This time, Kadokawa Sneaker Bunko had a really hot lineup. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are really happy with the new edition of Konosuba. What did you all think of this lineup? Please let me know if you're interested. Please let me know in the comments section. That's all for this video. I'll be introducing new books again